In the quiet vastness of the Orion expanse, silence reigned between the stars. Fleets of hundreds waited, shimmering like silver webs across the void, their hulls marked by the sigils of a dozen alien empires. They had gathered for one reason: to stop a single approaching vessel from Earth. The galaxy called it the human ship. It wasn't large compared to the mighty dreadnoughts of the Council Alliance. It had no grand banners, no endless lines of escort fighters. To the gathered admirals and overlords, it was nothing more than an old relic, a small Terran warship from a world they once mocked as primitive. Yet every sensor feed, every probe, and every rumor said the same thing. No ship that faced it had ever returned. The lead admiral of the Council, a tall insectoid being whose chitin gleamed like glass, clicked his mandibles in disbelief. "One vessel cannot oppose the armada of 100 world," he declared to his officers. But even he could not ignore the unease creeping through his ranks. Reports had reached them. A lone human craft emerging from jump space, ignoring warnings, moving toward the heart of their fleet as if it feared nothing. The stars trembled when the human ship arrived. It did not emerge in fire or thunder. It simply appeared, silent and steady, its gray hull marked with an old Earth emblem, a blue circle enclosing a simple white star. There was no grand speech, no threats. The communication channels opened and a calm human voice spoke. "This is Captain Reed of the Dauntless. We are here on behalf of Earth. Stand down." Across the bridge of the flagship Oralis Prime, alien commanders exchanged uncertain glances. The human's tone carried no arrogance, no plea, only quiet certainty. The admiral laughed, a harsh sound echoing through his translator unit. "You think one Terran ship can face an entire fleet?" Captain Reed's reply was steady. "We've faced worse." That was when the fleets opened fire. Thousands of beams lanced across the void, painting the darkness in blue and gold light. Missiles, plasma shells, and ion bursts streaked toward the small gray vessel. But when the light faded, the Dauntless was still there. Its shield shimmered faintly, its weapons silent. Not a single shot had found its mark. The alien admiral shouted orders, believing it a trick of sensors, a failure in targeting. The bombardment resumed 10 times stronger. Yet through it all, the human ship advanced. Slow, deliberate, unstoppable. The admirals couldn't understand it. Their data showed impossible readings. The human vessel moved between the incoming fire like a dancer through falling rain, predicting trajectories with eerie precision. Its return fire began, not in chaos but in method. Each shot it fired struck with surgical accuracy. A cruiser shattered, then a battleship, then an entire carrier vanished in a single blinding flash. Panic spread through the command channels. "Retreat and regroup," one shouted. "Impossible. It's just one ship," another protested. But fear had already begun to eat through their discipline. Every commander in the fleet now understood something they had ignored for centuries. Humans were not fearless because they lacked fear. They were fearless because they faced it anyway. As the Dauntless pressed forward, its captain spoke once more. "You came to surround us because you thought strength was measured in numbers. You never understood what drives us. We fight not for conquest, not for dominance. We fight for the ones who depend on us to come home." For a moment, even the alien admiral fell silent. He saw the recordings from earlier battles. Tiny human ships defending colonies, freighters, even mining outposts, never retreating even when hopelessly outnumbered. He saw the same symbol painted on their hulls, the same defiance burning in their eyes. The galaxy had called Earth a world of savages, a place of chaos and storms, but perhaps those storms had forged something stronger than any alloy. Still, pride ruled him. He ordered the full might of the armada unleashed. The space around the human vessel turned white with energy. The nearest stars dimmed from the power discharge. Even the admiral's sensors overloaded under the sheer radiance. When the light finally cleared, every alien saw it. The Dauntless was gone. Cheers broke across the fleet. Relief spread like fire. "It's over," one shouted. "The Terran is destroyed." But then their scanners flickered again. A single echo appeared, eyed behind them. The human ship had moved through their formation. No one had seen it. No one understood how. It now hovered above the flagship Oralis Prime, silent and motionless. Before any weapon could lock, the human voice spoke again. "This doesn't have to continue. You know what we are capable of. You know what happens if we are forced to finish this." The admiral hesitated. The pride that had built empires now warred with the instinct for survival. He finally opened a channel, What are you, human? Your ship should not exist. Your world should not stand against us. Captain Reed's voice was calm. We're from Earth. We were forged on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to survive storms, quakes, beasts, and hunger. You think the void frightens us? He paused, and even the static seemed to quiet. Every human carries a storm inside. It's what keeps us standing when logic says to fall. Then the Dauntless turned and began to drift away. The alien fleets did not follow. Not one ship dared move. They could only watch as the human vessel disappeared into the dark, leaving them suspended in silence. The Admiral's claws trembled on his console. His second-in-command finally spoke. Should we pursue? The Admiral looked at the fading signal and shook his head. No, let it go. Whatever they are, they've already won. Word of the encounter spread like wildfire across the galaxy. On distant worlds, species that once mocked humanity now spoke the name Terran with respect. Others whispered fearfully, calling Earth a death world that had birthed warriors who could defy the laws of probability itself. But on Earth, Captain Reed said nothing of glory or conquest. The Dauntless returned quietly to orbit, its crew weary but unbroken. To them it had never been about pride. It was about survival, duty, and the belief that no matter how far humanity traveled, they would stand together. News feeds across colonies debated endlessly about how the Dauntless had survived. Some claimed it used advanced predictive AI. Others said its hull was forged from a material unknown to alien science. But those who had fought alongside humans before knew the truth. The greatest weapon of any Terran ship was not its guns or its shields. It was the people aboard it, even now, deep in the void. The old frequencies whispered the legend. One human ship dared the entire galaxy and lived. Centuries later, cadets in alien academies studied the recordings of that battle. In every simulation, the Dauntless appeared as an anomaly. A ship that should not have survived, should not have won. And yet it did. When asked to explain it, no instructor could. One old veteran who had once seen the human ship with his own eyes gave the only answer that ever made sense. You cannot predict them. You cannot measure them. Because humans don't fight for logic. They fight for each other. In time, the galactic order shifted. Treaties were rewritten. Old powers that once ruled by fear began to seek alliance instead. And at the center of every negotiation stood humanity. Calm, patient, and dangerous in their quiet way. They didn't demand tribute or conquest. They only asked for respect, the kind that had been denied to them for centuries. On the anniversary of that fateful encounter, Captain Reed stood before the viewport of the Dauntless once more, watching the stars drift past. The ship's hull bore the scars of countless battles, yet it still endured. Below them, Earth gleamed like a blue jewel, silent and strong. A young officer approached. Sir, Command reports new contact signals at the edge of the system. Do we engage? Reed smiled faintly. Not yet. Let them come. If they've come to talk, we listen. If they've come to fight, we'll remind them why they shouldn't. The young officer nodded and returned to his station. Reed looked once more at the stars and whispered, one ship, one crew, one world. In that moment, the engines of the Dauntless came alive again, bathing the bridge in golden light. The human ship turned toward the unknown, ready to face whatever waited beyond, because that was what humans did. They dared. And somewhere in the vastness of the galaxy, far beyond the range of any sensor or probe, countless civilizations remembered that day. The day one human ship had stood alone against the endless night and refused to yield. They called it impossible. The humans called it Tuesday.